All right, we're live. Hello. We're back for another live. Oh, Ben's on. Hang on.
That works.
Hello.
Yes. How you doing, my man?
I'm well. How are you?
Yeah, good. Let me just put you down. All right, we're good. Sick. Okay, cool. Let's just wait for a few more people to come on. How you doing, Ben? You good?
Well, man. How are you, Tina?
Yeah, really good. Really excited to have you on the Instagram live. Um,
Me too, man. I listened to your last episode with the wrap up. It was awesome, man.
oh yeah, yeah. Did you like how you were like top five? Did you see that?
Yeah, I made the cut. I appreciate that. Thank you.
How's like Canada doing? Is it still like lockdown and everything?
It's quite close to it. It's very, very cold here. It's bitterly cold right now, so I'm not the biggest fan of it.
Mate, it's so weird because I see your backdrop quite a lot on a lot of your videos and stuff. It's such a cool backdrop. Did you literally just build it for your YouTube channel? How did that come about?
Yeah, so I'm just moving to this place 2 months ago, and so I bought a place where I could have a dedicated office. And I was thinking about what I could do for the backdrop, and I hadn't seen too many people that had done like exposed brick, so I figured I'd try that out. So it's literally just wallpaper.
Oh, it's wallpaper. Oh, we're really going behind the. Oh, I thought it was real.
Yeah, a lot of people do, so I guess that means it's decent stuff.
Mad. All right, cool. We've got decent numbers so far. Hello to everyone that's joined. Basically, we want to talk about all things YouTube. I've basically followed on our conversation with Ben a couple episodes ago. I can't remember which episode it was now, maybe 33, 32. One of the recent ones. Really good conversation we had about everything to do with YouTube, how to start it, how to grow, monetization, everything behind it. What was the biggest sort of takeaway? I mean, cast your mind back a little bit, Ben. What was the sort of like biggest takeaway you can remember from our conversation?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that I stress and I try to stress every time I have a conversation on this tone is the fact that there is an opportunity and there will always be an opportunity on YouTube, and it's surprisingly possible and very, very attainable to make a full-time income on YouTube because of the way that because it's the fact that it's a search engine. It is something that you can actually like, gamify is probably not the appropriate word, but you can actually create a strategy and work towards it. It's not like you're playing with the lottery. It's more like you're lifting weights. You're getting stronger and essentially building
Yeah.
momentum.
As well, like I think what another really cool thing to stress is that your channel. I mean, you didn't start out as a social media channel at all. You started out as like a fitness
Yeah.
recovering from your ACL channel. Like, so it's totally different, but still, you managed to grow it and find your niche in the long term.
Yeah, and that's what I would say for most people. It's great to have a clear identified niche, but if you have no clue, which I didn't, and so the world kind of just threw me into YouTube, and I knew it was something I wanted to start. And since, like I mentioned in the podcast, my love was football, and that was my whole life. So once that got taken away because of injuries, I was like, okay, what excuses do I have at this point? Let's just get started. And in doing that, you're exactly right. I started making videos on fitness and my torn ACL stuff that was present and current that I thought I really liked or that I was dealing with right now. And then no one was watching it. Like people were watching the ACL videos, but not the fitness videos. So in an
Yeah.
attempt to get people to find the fitness videos as well, that's where I became a nerd when it comes to YouTube. And then that really came where I was like, okay, I like this more. I can help people more this way. And that's kind of where it evolved from there.
Yeah, really cool. So we've got like some people who've joined now. I think the way we'll take this is basically just, I mean, if any of you guys have any questions, like any way throughout the conversation, just send them in the Q&A and we'll answer them as we go. Because after the episode we had with you, Ben, like I got so many questions basically from
Really?
off the back of it because I got so many comments like, oh, it should have been longer, it should have been like this, and I was like, well, I can't exactly make it like an hour long episode. So
Yeah,
so I felt like a live would be the best way to kind of carry on our conversation.
sure.
So if anyone has any questions about anything to do with YouTube, starting a YouTube channel, growing a YouTube channel, I don't know what stage people are with any of their YouTube channels, but um, anything along that line, I think Ben would be a great sort of person to ask about in that sort of niche.
For sure. Yeah, I'm happy to answer whatever, to be honest.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so if anyone has any questions, just shoot. But anyways, I think Yeah, but I think we'll just carry on with just our conversation, really. Uh, I just love the sort of just a bit of background about, I mean, for people that haven't listened to the episode, I started my podcast because of watching Ben, actually. Like a lot of the advice that he gave on his channel, I ended up implementing them on my actual like podcast, like so many tips of them. And so I owe a lot of my channel, I think, to Ben because and I think a lot of people do, like around the world, I would say. You must get a lot of those sort of messages, right?
Yeah, they do, and like each one is equally as exciting as like the first ones that ever came in because I know that how much that means to people and how truly life changing this kind of stuff can be once people open their eyes to it. So do get them pretty often, but they're equally as awesome every single time.
Mate, as soon as I said the questions, they're all flooding in now. Okay,
Yeah,
hang on. Can you see them as well?
yeah. So I see the first one. How do you figure out why a YouTube video goes
Yeah,
viral?
I was just scrolling up. You want to answer that one?
Yeah, for sure. So there's going to be so many metrics there that dictates how YouTube's going to push it or distribute a video. Because it is a search engine, that's one of the key components is where it's going to rank within search for specific terms. But where real virality typically comes in is when combined with search, YouTube also starts suggesting your video like crazy. And there's a few indicators. So again, it's not like a human being making this decision. It's a series of ones and zeros of code put together to say, okay, once if this happens, then this happens. So typically, a video is going to go viral because it had a relatively high click-through rate. That means the amount of people that saw it, meaning it showed up on their screen, a high percentage of those people clicked it. And then in addition to that, the next and more important thing in a vacuum is actually the retention or the watch time of that video. That's one of the things they're looking for because they know if they can keep people on the platform longer, once you get past like a tipping point, they stay on there and they start binge watching and they make way more money from ads. So it's really the watch time is the key indicator, but the first thing that makes the car go is the click-through rate.
Just to build on that, do you ever actually know in your mind what's going to go viral or not?
Yeah, so it's far more predictable when you know your niche and within it. So when I post a video, I can almost tell you exactly how many views it's going to get, like within like a month or two span. And I'm very rarely surprised on that. I think if you're a far more broad channel, that's a little more random, I would say. But the majority of it is like you can tell based on trends, how big your audience is, and then also the cyclical trends too. Like for example, on the podcasting video, I recently remade the video that you saw.
Yeah.
It was my first viral video. And so I went back and watched it, and it was dead for about 3 months when I posted it originally. And then it randomly started picking up. And that has everything to do with because that's when people start searching about podcasts typically.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you about that because so in my mind, so from like podcasting, that's what I've experienced in. I kind of never know which episode's going to do well, which episode's going to do badly.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a weird thing, and like I've kind of given up guessing. Like there's some episodes where I'm like immensely proud of it. And I'm like, this is going to be amazing. And if anything, they're actually one of my least like listened to episodes, which is really weird. And then the ones that I'm like, oh, it's not that great. I didn't really perform as an interviewer. They tend to do like the best. And it's like, what? I don't understand. I think as a YouTuber, it must be the same sort of thing, right? Where you don't actually know sometimes what video is going to blow up or not.
So
Especially the ones that aren't trending.
yeah, I think there's a degree of that. I would say there's far more predictability when it comes to YouTube because of the fact that it is a search engine and it actually pushes your content. Whereas podcasting, your growth is really going to be determined by how many people share that, right? And how many people are interested in putting that in different communities, different networks, things like that. So that stuff's a lot more difficult to predict. On YouTube, the average video you can typically guess, again, there's obviously the exceptions of a few going like truly viral, but you can typically guess within like 10 or 12,000 views what it's going to perform like.
Okay. Going to the next question, Lauren from Otsu is asking thoughts on YouTube versus podcast. I know you actually do both, so I think there'd be a good perspective on pros and cons of both.
Yeah. So to answer that question, it's very like if someone was to pick one or the other, I think it totally depends on who's going into that situation. If you're going into it from a lens of you're trying to make money, especially with any sort of quickness, I'd say you're probably better off in YouTube. Just because you're able to leverage the fact that YouTube is a search engine and allow that to make you money. A lot of people, when they think of YouTube, they only think of the AdSense, so the money that's coming from the ads of video. The vast majority of channels, that's not their primary money source, like revenue source. It's just not because you need a lot of views for that to be making serious money. but you don't need a lot of views if you're leveraging, say, your own products or affiliate products or things of that nature. So if that's your lens, you're trying to make money, I'd say YouTube's typically going to be the better route. But if you're trying to like learn or grow, which I was at the beginning of everything, I was like, I just want to learn. So if you can go into it through that lens and you're not worried about money too much, a podcast may be a better route. And even if you do a podcast, I still think there's a lot of value in having the video component as well, because you can help attract more people to actually become the long form listeners of a podcast as well.
Yeah, I mean, something that I've seen quite a lot of recently, and I'm thinking of even jumping on this, where it's a podcast, but they film it and they put it on YouTube straight away. And it's like this kind of does two things, right? Where it kind of gets the reach out more. And also, as it's a video and it's a long form content, it's quite easy to get the 4,000 watch hours. Like I put one of my episodes, and this is audio only, right? This isn't even video, onto YouTube, and some people have watched it throughout the whole episode, so the whole 40 minutes. That one episode, even though it's got like not that many views, has already reached like quite a few watch hours. So I think in that respect, if you are thinking about, oh, should I show one or the other, sometimes the solution is to do both.
Both. Yeah, and you're building more of an asset class that way. If you look at these big shows, they're typically driven through leveraging where attention is readily available. So that's going to be these video platforms like YouTube and TikTok, things of that nature, where you can attract a mass audience very quickly, and then that's leverage. So once you build that following, that dictates how much you're willing to demand when it comes to sponsorships or affiliate opportunities. There's just an audience is leverage, and if you don't have a budget, you should go where it's readily available.
Yeah, for sure. All right, next question. Hey, Ben, you mentioned that YouTube is a search engine. What and where should I post my text to increase my reach? I think it's just a question about reach.
Yeah, okay. So I think what they're saying is how to best leverage the search components that YouTube provides. So search is going to be your best friend as a small channel, because you can compete in less contested places, because you can go target for a specific keyword. And if you're optimizing that video correctly and there aren't that many other competitors, YouTube favors new content. So if you go for a less competitive space and you go take that and you do everything the right way, they're going to give it to you, at least for a short amount of period of time. And based on that user behavior, how people interacted with that video, that'll dictate how long you stay there. So that's exactly what happened with my first video with the podcasting guide. Like, I did so many things right by accident, but they gave me that placement. And because people responded to the video, I stayed there, and I'm still there. If you go into YouTube and type in podcasting, I'm in like the top 5 videos, which is truly insane, because if you look at the other people, it's like Gary Vee, like major podcasters.
Yeah.
And that right there should speak to the true opportunity that is YouTube. But they don't care who you are, right? Like they don't care. It doesn't matter if you're. I'm the first one right now. That's very ironic. So if they don't care who you are, as long as you have a good video and it serves a need, people will see it.
So what did you actually do right in that video that people can kind of take away? Like what were the sort of key things that you did correct accidentally and that you've learned from that?
Yeah, so you just gave me an idea for a video, so I'm just gonna write that down. So essentially, so eventually what I did is I had a very strong hook. So in the beginning, and this is good. This was before I became like a social media nerd. This was like 3 years ago. So I walked in, and it was a very random scene, which captures their attention right there. And
yeah, it was like in the snow. It was in the snow, wasn't it? Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So again, this was just like, I thought like, I'll just throw my camera down, whatever. But now I would like tell people to do this. But so I walk up to the camera, and I just quickly explained that I'm a podcaster. I've been running my show for a number of months now, and I made tons of mistakes that I don't want you to make. Okay. And then I moved on. But like, I was still trying to make vlogs and whatnot, so I still had another minute before I got into the juice of it.
Yeah.
But I guess the hook was strong enough that people stayed that length, giving it a very long watch time. When it was at its peak levels of success, like in terms of new viewers, it was getting about 7 or 8 minutes of average watch time. For a video that's under 12 minutes, that's insane. Like that is so long, comparatively speaking, to other videos. So that was huge. And then I honestly just shared a lot of honest experiences. So people's fear of loss is stronger than their fear of gain. So people are very, very concerned about avoiding certain mistakes. So even the thumbnail, I said, like, I wish I knew. So then I'm speaking to the fact that these people can avoid that loss through watching my video. So it's a lot of psychology involved there. And then in terms of the back end, I had also optimized it very well. So I think that relates back to the other question of how to properly use a search engine, is you want to feed the machine, which is what I call YouTube or Google, everything that it needs. Because again, you're not speaking to a human being. Like, it's not you and I having a conversation.
Yeah.
The machine can only know what I provide it. So they do have AI that can tell what you're saying in the video. But beyond that, that only goes so far. You have to give them all of the right metadata in terms of the title, the tags, the description. That still holds a lot of weight.
So what were the keynotes like? I mean, I guess because you did it by accident, like what were the key words, I guess, from that podcast video that, I mean,
Yeah.
or if you're doing any random video that people can take away, like what would be, as in, yeah, what would be the text or description or title that you would use?
So I actually just made my most recent video on YouTube is going far more in depth into this exact thing we're discussing right now, but it's going to vary completely based on the video that you're doing. And then you essentially want to get into the mind of your potential viewer and think about any which way that they would type that in and be happy that they found your video. So that's going to help you dictate the original title, and then also the supporting metadata to try to get in as many positions as possible for a person who's looking for that video. I think a lot of people go very, very literally, and they leave a lot on the table. Like, YouTube is smart enough to understand that even though you're saying things a few different ways, like, they know they're connected. So like a lot of people are worried that they're going to screw over their primary target by putting something that's not the exact same. YouTube is smart enough to understand that these things are deeply connected, and the audiences or the people seeking out this video would be very, very similar. So I would say if you're looking for a far more in-depth guide, go watch the video. I break down literally everything that I do, but it's like a 20-minute video, so it'd be difficult to say in a few minutes.
Oh yeah, okay. Everyone go check out that video then. So next question, I think moving on from YouTube, if anyone also has any other questions about YouTube, just pop them in and we'll go back to YouTube. But moving on to, I guess, short form content, we talked a little bit about TikTok on the episode.
Yeah.
Someone's actually asked a question about Instagram Reels.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't actually mention that at all in the podcast. So how do you go viral on Instagram Reels? I don't know how much you've explored Instagram Reels yourself, but yeah, how do you go viral on that?
So that's going to have its own like distribution algorithm apart from like everything. Like everything within Instagram has a different means of distribution, but it's very, very similar to, or they're attempting to be similar to TikTok. There is a lot more viral potential, and I say viral in air quotes because Instagram's level of viral and TikTok's is just so different based on where they are as platforms. But it's going to be very, very similar. It's based on user engagement, so rewatch rate especially, but because there's just simply way more placements right now, because it's their primary focus. If you go look at any term, like any keyword search term or hashtag, it's getting the biggest placement in terms of real estate, right? So they want people to be watching these.
Yeah.
So your goal is to try to get as many positions of those as possible. So that's going to be in these tags, in these different criteria, and then as well as through the Explorer. So if people are just aimlessly scrolling, you want to try to get picked up in that algorithm. But in terms of, there isn't really a way to gamify it. It really comes down to how people interact with it. But it is also very, very random. So people have done tests where they'll post the same video like 20, 30 times, the exact same video. And sometimes it'll get like 5, and then sometimes it'll get thousands. So
really, wow.
And that speaks to the near random nature, because how could you say that people wouldn't respond to the exact same video, right? So it is honestly a little bit like a lottery. So I would say just like keep trying and don't get too attached to the numbers. I think a lot of people, like, they put something out there and like, oh, I only got 5 likes, and they give up. Instagram's not going to penalize you, especially on Reels, if it doesn't do super, super well.
Just to like build on that and talking about TikTok, I know we discussed it a little bit on the podcast, but like, how exciting is TikTok for you as a social media strategist and a marketer yourself? Like, how exciting is it as a platform to be on?
TikTok is insane, dude. It's crazy. Like, it's what Instagram was, even better than I would say, about 5 or 6 years ago. And I saw a video today where I think he coined it so perfectly well. There's predictable virality, and that's not possible anywhere else to have predictable.
What do you mean
virality.
by that? What do you mean?
Meaning it's really a game of attrition. If you post enough things, one of them will go viral. And viral is going to be subjective to who's posting, and there's so many variables that play there. But it doesn't matter who you are. How they function is crazy in and of itself. As a marketer or any sort of business owner or interviewer like yourself, whatever it may be, the fact that you can go on there and any video you post will always be shown to new people. That's crazy. And it will always be shown to new people. You can go on Instagram, you can post for months, every single day, and it can go to like a portion of your audience, not even new people.
Yeah.
So like but it has so much to do with where they are in their product's life cycle. They're still at the point of growth. So while they're doing that, they're trying to make this the place to be. That's the place to post content, and then eventually it will dwindle down. If you post on Instagram 5-6 years ago, you'd be getting not this kind of growth. Like TikTok's pretty crazy, but you'd still be getting a ton of growth. But now they're at the point where they're going to drop that reach because that means more money, and it's a for-profit business with shareholders and owners and all those things.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if you know this, but Snapchat actually created something like a competitor basically for this.
Yeah.
Snapchat Spotlight, and they're giving like a share of like I think $1 million
$1 million.
to. Yeah, it's crazy. For people who don't know, Snapchat are giving a share of $1 million, I think daily, right?
Yeah,
To
I
creators.
think they're giving it to their creators daily,
Yeah,
something
it's
like that.
daily. Like so, whatever videos go viral during that day, they'll give a share of $1 million to them. So
Yeah.
what do you think about like where the sort of short form content, you know, there's TikTok, there's Instagram Reels, and now Snapchat. Like, where do you think that's going in the future?
So it's a massive shift. It's the biggest thing coming to social as of late. And the same is true because even YouTube's getting involved with YouTube Shorts. But I would say
Mhm.
that the reason why Snapchat has to do that is because the consumption habits of a Snapchat user, they don't lend to that. Like people go to Snapchat to like see their friends stuff or like the random news stuff. That's what we've become accustomed to. People don't add randoms on Snapchat. It's far more one-to-one. It's almost intrusive to have someone on your Snap story at this given
Yeah,
time. So that's why they have to do that and try to in hopes that people will create for it. So honestly, I don't see Snapchat having success with that. If I'm being brutally honest,
really.
I don't see it. Even with the money behind it, it comes down to what people want, right? And
Mm.
that's a bit of a gimmick. If $1 million, like that's not sustainable for
Yeah,
one. And if people aren't going there to consume like that, that may change. I hope I'm proven wrong, Snapchat. I really hope I am, but I don't think that's going to happen. YouTube Shorts is incredibly exciting because the value of a YouTube subscriber is so much more valuable than any other platform on a one-to-one basis. And plus, the fact that when you consume a YouTube Short, your subscribe button is the biggest thing on the screen. So if you get mass push in the Shorts algorithm, you're getting so many people that are going to be drawn right to your subscribe button, and then they're also your subscriber for regular YouTube as well. But vertical short form video is the next wave of things. If you're
yeah.
not making that now, or at least repurposing your existing content for that kind of format, then you're going to get left behind because things are just moving so quickly that way.
What sort of like growth or opportunities have you got from like posting on? Because you post, I've seen you post pretty much on the daily, right? So, and so for people who want to get into it, and I saw a question above, someone like wants to get into posting on TikTok.
Yeah.
And posting daily, I think is the most powerful way, right? So, what sort of, I guess you did have a platform before, but for someone starting from scratch, from zero, what kind of advice would you give for them going on TikTok and like, yeah, just share some stories around that?
For sure. So I think the fact that I had an audience other places helped, but I don't think it made that much of a difference if I'm being totally honest with you. Because the majority of people that came to me or found me on TikTok, like I think I maybe got like 5 or 6 comments saying like, "Oh, we're glad you're creating for here now," but there
Oh,
wasn't a
really?
lot. Like most of
Okay.
these were new people, which is awesome because it's diversifying the audience.
Mm.
But the thing would be exactly what you said. Like trying to post daily is very, very important. In a span of like a month and a half, I went from 1,000 to 10.5K in
What is that? Well, like subscribe, like followers.
followers.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's over on TikTok, and like that's not unheard of. That's very, very normal. If you're looking for like a repeatable formula for that, I'd say try to post 2 to 3 times a day. If you're in a niche or you create one sort of type of video or one sort of strand of video, it's gonna make it far more likely for them to follow you because they know what they can expect moving forward. And 3, another thing that I found super, super powerful is if you do series. So like I would do like an Instagram hack part, whatever, because
Yeah.
if anybody who finds one of them, if they took value from that, they're then going to go through and look for every other video that was labeled the same way, watch it and consume it. And after a few of them, they're going to click the plus button. It just happens. So I think series are incredibly important. Post often. And then also like over there, it's almost stupid, but you can do these reaction videos called duets.
I've
And
seen you do this, like Gary Vee and yeah, loads of different people.
I
Yeah.
do it just because like and so a lot of people always comment. There's always some smart asses that are like, "Oh, you contribute so much value to this video." It's like obviously I know that I didn't, but that's just the way that you're playing the game. My most watched video on TikTok is me replying to this guy doing something that was clearly a joke about marketing, and it's got like 500,000 views or something like that
What?
because
That is
I
mad.
identified that it was a very funny video. I could see that it was going to go viral, and I was one of the first people to duet it. So you ride the wave along with the person. Sometimes you'll even see a trend that starts, and the person who started it, their video has barely any views, and then all the people who did it have like millions of views. It's crazy.
That's mad. Yeah. Well, I'd love to talk to you more about TikTok because I think it would be, loads of people get value from that. But we've only got like 4 minutes left, so I don't know if anyone's got any other questions. Now would be the time to post them, otherwise you'll lose your opportunity. So any questions about YouTube, TikTok, Instagram Reels, literally anything, we'll ask them now. But otherwise, should we wait like a minute, see if anyone asks
Yeah,
some
yeah, man.
questions?
No,
If not,
I blocked out more time. We're good.
okay, sweet. But yeah, like it's super exciting TikTok, like to see the growth from you. I thought a lot of people came from your YouTube channel to your TikTok,
No,
but
there
it's
was, I mean, it's
crazy.
dumb, but I would say under 500, man. Like, honestly, it was not
Really?
substantial. The vast majority of people were new people. Like, almost all of them were like, and a lot of them hadn't even gone to my YouTube channel yet. So, but it's the opportunity for me to nurture that relationship.
Yeah.
And 'cause the issue with TikTok is the biggest blessing is also its biggest curse. There are thousands of distractions coming at them every single day. So you have to be really something, and you have to be very consistent to actually create that connection with them, right?
Mm. A question from Carol. We've got a bit more time. So, how do you think the breakups theme can be explored in TikToks and Reels?
So I think like that stuff's actually popping. Like the advice type stuff is massive, especially on TikTok. So what I would say is provide the advice like you would if someone was right in front of you,
Mm.
but create for what matters on the platform. So for TikTok, it's all about watch time and watch repetitions. So you got to capture their attention right away. So think about that when you're formatting video. So if someone's right in front of you and they're having a conversation with you, obviously you don't have to capture their attention. They're right in front of you. But these people are a swipe away from getting lost
Yeah.
and never being seen again. So you have to do something compelling in the first 3 seconds to capture their attention. And you'll see the videos that really pop off, they're doing that. They're enacting psychological triggers to get you to stop, watch, and then before you know it, you've watched it 2, 3, 4 times over, and then TikTok says, okay, boom, and they show it to everybody. So that's what I would say is don't be afraid to put advice in any form, but try to create for the platform what they care about.
Yeah, that's really good advice. So, question from Jamie who says, "Do you believe with YouTube it's a matter of not if but when?" So I guess that's a question towards like consistency and just
Yeah.
basically creating content as frequently and as consistently as possible.
So yeah, that's a quote that I've used so many times. I think you may have heard that from me, Jamie. I literally said that. I think I said it in the podcast. I said it's a matter of if,
Oh
not
yeah,
when.
you did. Yeah, you did. Yeah.
If you're doing things the right way. So if you go watch that video that I did, and it's like if you do that consistently, I'm willing to bet anybody who sits across from me that they'll experience some growth within a year or within 6 months, depending on your niche and depending how consistent you are. But if you do that, you will grow. Like
Yeah.
it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And then the level of growth will be dependent on your skill level, the niche, the level of demand, all that good stuff. But you will grow. It's one of those things that you can chip away at.
So it's just a matter of like literally posting as
Just doing it.
consistently as possible. I think the biggest thing I took from you was so you're coming back home from work and you see a trend and you literally just made a video on that day and posted on that day. So that's just like a level of, I guess, dedication, but also the consistency factor
Yes.
that led to you growing.
For sure. So the consistency thing is massive. And the easiest way to explain it is, would you take a risk on your money with someone who hadn't proven to be consistent? You wouldn't. So that's what YouTube is when they show you to new people. It's a risk. So
Mm.
make that as little of a risk as possible. And two, the point you mentioned right there is massive. So I already said that as a small YouTuber, your biggest friend is going to be search. Your even bigger friend is being quick and riding trends like you had just said.
Yeah.
Because if you can be first, something that people are searching for, and none of the bigger players in the space have made that video, you're gonna get the views. I did that like 4 or 5 times on my channel, and it was like I can attribute half my growth at that point to videos like that. They weren't even great videos. I was just
Mm.
first. So I got there, I answered people's question, and I got thousands of subscribers because of it. So that's absolutely massive too.
With consistency though, I guess this is more about like, I guess, work ethic, but I know there is like a back of the mind thing of working really hard, making that video to be consistent, but then not that many people watching it.
Mhm.
And I guess that can be like a mental burden on you because you put all this effort in and you're like, oh, I haven't seen the reward. How did you kind of face that? And how did you kind of like move on from that? Do you see what the question I'm trying to ask?
Yeah, I definitely do. So I think as corny as it sounds, embracing the power of one is pretty important. So even if a video can impact one person, it's worthwhile to be
Mm.
made. And I also mentioned on the podcast that sometimes, or sorry, yeah, the podcast, that's what it was, that there was like times where a client would come to me or an opportunity would come from a video that I thought was a failure, right? Like it didn't get that many views and I'm like, oh, that sucked. And then something great came from it. So understand that everything serves a purpose. But the next thing is the fact that what I said about my most viral video, or my first viral video, is that it was dead for 3 or 4 months. So just because a video doesn't get seen quickly on YouTube doesn't mean that it's gone. Whereas on Instagram, typically even on TikTok or especially Facebook, if people don't like it right away, it's gone. That's not the case on YouTube. So the potential returns are far longer reaching, like sometimes even years. Like for like that video I made
really?
3 years ago, and it still brings me in a few hundred views a day.
Wow.
And that was made 3 years ago. So, and then I'm making, let's say, from that's probably like equates out to $50-$60 a month in ad revenue. And then not to mention that I mentioned like 10 affiliate offers within that video. So that one video alone, when it was peak, was bringing in like thousands of dollars a month from something that I did in one day, like a year or two prior.
That is just a testament to just the consistency, because you've got loads of videos that probably didn't monetize, but then you just need one. You just need one that takes off, and then your channel will just take off with it.
For sure. And that's the thing. People don't get it though, because if you don't keep doing things the right way, it's like YouTube, the overall picture really matters. Like you got to keep doing things the right way. That's going to help them make decisions, because every time there's a placement on a screen, there's an algorithm making a decision to show you or the other video. So if there's 2 people that made the exact same video, but the other person did more things right in the eyes of YouTube, they get the placement. So it's one of those things where like, why would you want to screw yourself over before it happens? But you're totally right. Like there's tons of videos on my channel that didn't, like, in a vacuum, didn't make me any money, but they help for the overall structure of everything going on.
But hey, like those same videos might blow up in like a year's time or 2 years time. You never know, like you just said. So
you don't know. Exactly.
So exactly, yeah. So just a final sort of 2 questions before we like wrap up, I guess. And if anyone has any like questions, I guess now will be the time to do it before we finish. Does the choices of hashtags matter in TikTok? So going back to TikToks now.
Far less than here, like way less than here, because the main distribution platform is going to be the For You page. So the difference is, how do people consume on Instagram? They only consume on their main feed, which is they have to be following you for you to see that unless you pay for placement. Then on hashtags, which they have to either seek out or be following, or the Explore page. The problem with the Explore page, which is the equivalent of TikTok's For You page, is that you can't get on there until you have like a certain amount of followers and a certain amount of trust within Instagram. So the main distribution method on this platform, you have to earn. You have to like really, really work hard to even get to. So that's why hashtags matter so much, because that's something that you can actually actively do like today, right now. Over on TikTok, they're far less important. I would say that throw a few relevant ones on each post, or even like every other post, or whatever you want to do. They don't matter nearly as much. If a video is great, it could have no tags and go viral. So I wouldn't stress that nearly as much over there.
Okay, sweet. Unless anyone else has got any more questions, I think we'll wrap up there. Thank you so much, Ben, for coming on the Instagram Live. Massive pleasure having you on. And I think a lot of people asked a lot of valuable questions that we both learned from. So yeah, massive pleasure to have you on. Just waiting for any last questions, but I think we're good. I think we've answered everyone's.
Appreciate you having me on.
Sweet. Cool. All right. Have a fantastic day, Ben, and have a fantastic day, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I hope we'll do some more Instagram Lives in 2021. So see you all soon.
Cheers.
See you later, Ben.
See you guys.
Bye.